Good morning, and welcome back to Translator's Troubles. It is 9:20 in the morning, and I'm running on very little sleep, and I have a class that I have to take in about 45 minutes. So this is going to be brief and perhaps not as coherent as usual. I'm not using a script. But this morning, I ran into the single most incomprehensible article I've seen in a very long time. And given that it was put out just yesterday, and no one else on the wide world of the internet has had a chance to respond to it yet, I thought I would take the opportunity. Now, 3 reasons it's irrational to demand rationalism in social justice activism. Now, we can all broadly agree that social justice is a good thing. No matter your stance on social justice warriorism, here or there, doesn't really matter. But social justice itself, whatever that means, as long as we're actually talking about justice, is probably a good thing. Now, the crazy bit about this is that apparently social justice warrior types and feminists have lost so many arguments that they just feel the need to throw rationality out of the window entirely, because obviously it's not helping them. So let's look at some of the reasons why. And you should read the entire article. I always encourage people to do that, and I get angry when people don't. But read the entire article. But check this out. This is just wild. So, first of all, the level of non sequitur in this piece is just off the charts. It's amazing. So, at first she says, what if those imperialism-driven Europeans, all passionate and roused about manifest destiny, were encouraged to stop and reconsider whether their violent plans were rational? Decent enough question. And then she says we might have a better world, right? A world that is not oppressed, a world that did not have slavery, a world that does not have a white supremacist patriarchy, which doesn't exist, but neither here nor there. Anyway, she says, had people been rational, had they been asked about their rationality, the world would be a better place, right? The environment would be still pure, black people wouldn't have been slaves, etc. And then she goes on to say that somehow this rationalism, which would have done good back then, does bad now. Now, the only way this makes sense is if the demand for rationality is not a demand for anything. It's just something used to trip people up when they're doing whatever they're doing. And if she thinks that, she's obviously a fool. But we'll continue. So here, rationality does good things. But the same rationality today does bad things. It limits those who are marginalized somehow. So rationality is being presented to us in this paragraph here as something that is solely in place to kind of fuck up the lives of the marginalized. So not only is this urge to be rational holding us back, it unintentionally validates the logic of white supremacy as natural, and the position is the desire to fight oppression as excessive and outrageous. It really doesn't. Nonetheless, no matter what, she's failed to demonstrate this. And these two parts are completely incompatible. It's just bizarre. Let's skip down to why being rational is bad. Being rational has no inherent value. And she goes on to talk about how somehow the prison system is rational, which is very strange. When I talk about abolition, whether that be of prisons, immigrant detainment centers, the police, or the government, I am constantly derailed by strangers and even friends. They tell me that it isn't rational. They say this as if everyone seeks to be rational, as if prisons themselves, which have grown more than 400% since 1970, and which predominantly impact communities of color, especially black and indigenous communities, are rational, as if being rational has indisputable value. So she seems to think that because people assert something is rational, that it is rational, and she just accepts that without any hesitation. Very strange. Of course, apparently rationality only has political usefulness. It doesn't create the modern world. It doesn't create science. It doesn't give us the criminal justice system. It doesn't well, the good parts of the criminal justice system, it doesn't do anything to contribute to the world. So no inherent value in being rational at all. Just as valuable to be irrational and have no idea about how the world works as it is to be rational, clearly. If I'm not rational, then I must not be thinking correctly, which makes me incompetent and unqualified to even have political opinions. Yeah, that's correct. Based on my experience as a marginalized person, being rational just means going easy on my oppressors. So this means that if she comes to the conclusion that people are not actually oppressing her, well, she doesn't like this conclusion. She acknowledges that it's a rational conclusion because the people that she targets are not actually oppressing her. But because she doesn't like that conclusion, she has to discard it. Right? She's already arrived at her conclusion long ago. And now she just needs to have the feelings, and she has to have the ability. She needs some ideology which justifies her attack on people who are not, in fact, oppressing her. If her oppressors were, in fact, oppressing her, then it would be rational to attack them. But because she's not actually being oppressed by those she calls her oppressors, well, being rational is just undermining her entire project of rage. It's bizarre, crazy thing. It's amazing. This is not even a feminism thing, I think. This is just a crazy person thing. Very weird. Rationalism is a tool made to hurt us. Aha, yes, I see. In the context of anti-oppression work, limiting ourselves to rational thinking means that we're choosing to use the tools that make sense to our oppressors, which are usually tools made to hurt us. Rationalism means we're thinking within the framework of a system that was built to harm us in the first place. And for me, that is completely irrational, and it's violent and oppressive to expect that of anyone who suffers from the exploitation and abuse of this system. To take it a step further, rationalism is subjective. Again, this sort of thinking is sustainable only in the context of political, social, cultural values, right? We can assert that a certain value is superior to another value. We can assert that a certain cultural system is superior or inferior or oppressive. But rationalism sits outside the scope of culture, right? What is rational has to do with the way we perceive the world. Right? It's the correct perception of the way things actually operate. So viewing cause and effect properly is rational. Viewing them as disconnected or viewing them backwards, post hoc ergo propter hoc, that kind of thing is irrational, because it doesn't correctly describe the dynamics of the world. So rationalism isn't a tool made to hurt you. Rationalism is a property that's inherent in the universe, and understanding it is necessary if you want to make progress in any endeavor, be that the liberation of women, the liberation of slaves, or anything else. I suspect that this person is just so bad at making rational arguments that they want to just make bland assertions and have them accepted, and have now argued against rationality because they can't use it. It's too hard for them. It's rough. It's rough, for sure. We are enough without rationalism. I don't even know what this means. I agree that we should constantly interrogate what being rational is, but why we should be rational is something that is really beyond any kind of discussion. If you're not rational, I can't have a conversation with you. A fundamental grounding in rationality is absolutely necessary to have any kind of discussion with each other in the world that's grounded in reality. And this article doesn't seem to understand that. So, if you read this article, I think you'll see that trying to follow its steps through logically, it's nearly incomprehensible. It boggles the mind how intelligent people publish this, which makes me think that they're not intelligent people publishing it. The ability to get a college degree and use words is not the mark of an intelligent person, apparently. That said, read it yourself. Check it out. This is it's a lovely bit of anti-rationality that has seen the light of day. And I suspect that it's going to get taken down because it's just so absurd. I mean, especially this first point. Being rational has no inherent value. Jesus fucking Christ. Look around. The entire modern world is built on the foundations of rationality. And not just the parts of the modern world that you don't like. Right? Everything. Our computers, our food system, our educational system, everything that makes the modern world possible. Without rationality and its inherent value, we would still be living, on the savannah, hunting, I don't know, whatever it is that we hunted in Africa on foot. Or without rationality, the whole species would have been killed off in an ice age long ago. Anyway, I just wanted to get to this first because it is, the lowest hanging fruit I've ever seen. By all means, I'm happy to give her press. Read this article. It's terrible. And it views, my wife suggested that this article, it's along the lines of saying that mathematics is oppressive, right? It's just so bad. It's just so bad. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is a thank you. I thank you, Everyday Feminism, for giving me something that I can use to help shape minds in my critical thinking classes. I really appreciate it because stuff like this, it's hard for me to generate screeds that are this blatantly irrational and anti-rational. So thank you for that. It's a wonderful example of something that will be very useful to me in the future, teaching people how to actually be rational and how to actually think critically. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.